Hello everyone, welcome to Learn DAX channel. My name is Siddesh and this is the sixth part of the end-to-end DAX project video series in which we are covering a bunch of business problems and then converting them into DAX queries. If you haven't watched the first five parts, I really encourage you to go ahead and watch those first five videos first and then come and watch the sixth part. I'll leave the link in the description. Also, you'll find a link to the dataset in the description in which you'll find the product and the sales tables as well as the DAX queries that we are using in this demonstration, as well as the previous five videos. So you can either practice along while watching this video or in your free time. So without further ado, let's get started with this video and understand what business problems we are covering in this demonstration. So the first problem that we have is to calculate the net profit and gross profit. And in order to understand the concept of net profit and gross profit, in the context of this sales table, I have taken a simple example which I'm going to use by using the Excel sheet. So I have a table which has the cost price, selling price, gross profit, discount, and the actual price and the net profit. So the first row is having a product whose cost price is rupees 100 and its selling price is rupees 120, which means my gross profit turns out to be rupees 20. So that's first part, that's my gross profit. Now, if I give a discount of rupees 5 on the same, then the actual selling price turns out to be rupees 115. So the net profit that I make is actually rupees 15. So this is why there are two different values. You have a gross profit which is rupees 20 and you have a net profit which is rupees 15. In the second case, my cost price is rupees 110 and my selling price is rupees 115, which means I'm making a profit of rupees 5. But I am giving a discount of rupees 10, which essentially makes the actual selling price to be 105, thus giving me a loss of rupees 5. So even though my gross profit reads as rupees 5 as positive, my net profit turns out to be rupees minus 5. And in the third case, my cost price is 90, my selling price is 115, my gross profit turns out to be rupees 25, but I give the same amount as discount as much as my gross profit, which essentially brings the actual selling price equal to the cost price, thus making it a no profit, no loss scenario. And this is what we are going to apply in our sales table as well. So let's go back to Power BI and let's head to our sales table. So in our sales table, we have something called as the sales amount, which is nothing but the actual selling price. And we have this unit price, which is actually the gross price. But in order to quantify the complete gross price for one whole row, what we'll have to do is multiply this unit price by the quantity because the sales amount essentially is the unit price times the quantity minus the discount. So right now we have the COGS, which is the cost of goods sold or the cost price from our previous demonstration, which is rupees 600. We have the sales amount, which is rupees 900. So akin to what was the cost price in our Excel is our COGS in this table. And similar to what was our actual selling price in Excel is our sales amount in this table. And what is going to be similar to the selling price in our Excel is going to be something that we are going to calculate in this example. So I will create a new column and I will call it the selling price. I'll just keep it simple. I'll call it the selling price is equal to, it is going to be the sales unit price times the quantity. So into unit price. So once I get that, that is going to exceed my sales amount. So like for example, in this case, the selling price is rupees 1000. The discount amount is rupees 100. So my sales amount is going to be 1000 minus 100, which is 900. So that's what we have verified. Now let's go ahead and calculate the net profit and my gross profit. So for that, I will need, first of all, I need the total revenue, the gross revenue, and the net profit. So I already have the total revenue that we have calculated in one of our previous demonstrations, which is nothing but my sum of sales amount. So this sales amount is the amount that I calculated after considering the discount amount. So now I want a revenue which does not consider the discount amount, which is going to be my gross revenue. So in order to do that, let me first change the formatting of this particular card. Let me change the display units to none and add a visual border. So this is the total revenue. This is similar to the actual selling price in the Excel. So if I go back to the Excel, this actual price is my total revenue. So this is my total revenue. Now what I want is, the next thing that I want to calculate here is, I have this, now I want this, which is the selling price. So for that, I will have to aggregate the selling price that I just calculated, which is the unit price times the quantity. So I go back to Power BI and I will aggregate this, and I'll simply create a new measure. I will call it gross revenue is equal to sum of selling price, the column that I just created. So I quickly pull it here, change it to a card, change its formatting. So this is my gross revenue, which is similar to this selling price in my Excel, and this value, which is, where are we? We need to go to Power BI. Yeah, and this value, which is 29765, is similar to this value, my actual price. So now we need the cost price, which is the COGS. So let's go back to Power BI, and in order to calculate COGS, I'm going to use this COGS column. So the COGS column is nothing but the sales cost price multiplied by sales quantity. So each product has some cost price and it was sold in a certain quantity. So the product of that is going to be the cost of goods sold. I have actually calculated this, I think, in my previous video. So if you're watching this after watching my fifth video, it's going to make a lot of sense. And even if it does, it's just a multiplication of two columns, which is the cost price and my quantity column. So now let's get back to the report view and quickly create a new measure. And let's call it, maybe we'll call it COGS or the cost price. I think that will be much easier to understand. It's going to be the sum of COGS. This will be the least of these three values. So if I pull it here, change it to a card and change its formatting. So this is the cost price. So what was 100 in Excel is 18,900 in Power BI. What was 120 in Excel is our gross revenue, which is 32,650. And what was 115 in our Excel sheet is essentially this total revenue. So we have covered the first part, which is to calculate the net profit and gross profit, or have we? No, we haven't. We've just calculated the total revenue, gross revenue, and cost price. So let's first start with calculating the net profit. Or let's start with the gross profit, because after calculating the gross profit, we get to know the net profit. So gross profit is going to be gross revenue minus my cost price. Or you can also call it COGS. I've just used cost price in this example. So my gross profit overall is rupees 14,000 or 13,750. So this is nothing but rupees 20, 120 minus 100. This is the the amount which is the gross profit, 120 minus 100 without the discount. Now the next quantity that I calculate is the net profit, which considers the discount given over the sales price. So net profit is equal to my total revenue minus the cost price. So once I calculate the net profit, I change it to a card, change its formatting. So we are done with the first part of the question, which is to calculate the net profit and the gross profit. Now we want to calculate net profit and gross profit as a percentage of total revenue, which means we want to calculate gross profit as a percentage of total revenue and the net profit as a percentage of total revenue. So we will create two measures, and I'll call it GP percentage, GP percent, GP stands for gross profit, percentage of total revenue is equal to divide GP, which is gross profit, divided by total revenue. And I'll just multiply it by 100 because we want a percentage value. So this gives me gross profit as a percentage of total revenue, which is 46.20 percentage. And similarly, I need a net profit as a percentage of total revenue. So I will just do one thing. I'll copy this instead of typing the whole thing. In order to save time, I'll copy this whole thing, create a new measure, and I will just replace GP by NP, and I'll replace gross profit by, what do we have, net profit. So I pull it here, change it to a card, change its formatting. So these are the two values that we have. I'll also change the formatting. Okay, so we have the net profit as a percentage of total revenue and the gross profit as a percentage of total revenue. So you're done with the second part of the question. And the third part is to calculate net profit and gross profit percentage per product. So we can use the summarize function for this. So let's take a new page and let's create a new table. And we'll call it profit percentage per product is equal to summarize sales. So I need the product name. So I'll use the product name. And the first thing that we want is the net, or let's just take the gross profit first. Gross profit percentage, which is going to be GP percentage of total revenue. And then we'll take the net profit percentage, which will be nothing but NP percentage of total revenue. And we'll close the bracket, and then let's just see. So in this case, instead of writing the whole calculation again, we are just using the measures that we have already built. This really makes life easy for us and simplifies the whole thing. So I'll take this product and let's check net profit percentage and the gross profit percentage. So yeah, it is one thing to calculate, but can we actually manually verify this if we are doing it the correct way? Let's just try something with this. So I have this. Okay, so what all do I have uh, from the product and the sales table? Well, actually, we have used the product and the sales values to calculate this. So we actually don't need to verify this, but let's just try. Let's just try something. So I pull the product name and I need, what do I need in order to calculate the net profit percentage? Net profit is a percentage of gross revenue or total revenue. What was it? Let's just check the measure. So net profit is total revenue minus cost price. So we are calculating both as a percentage of total revenue, not the gross revenue. And gross profit is also being considered as a percentage of total revenue, which means I'm going to need the total revenue. Okay, I'm going to need the total revenue. So let's pull the total revenue, which is nothing but the sales amount, or yeah, total revenue. Let me pull it here. So the total revenue of Bluetooth speaker was 320. Now I will need net profit. But how do I get the net profit? Net profit is the difference between the sales amount and my COGS. So let's just pull the sales amount here. Sales amount and total revenue is essentially the same thing. I don't need this. So let's take a look at the COGS. So the COGS is 100, and so I have the total revenue, I have the COGS, then I have the net profit percentage. Net profit percentage is net profit divided by the total revenue. And what is net profit? Net profit is total revenue minus the cost price. Okay, so it is 220 divided. I'll just pull this net profit here. Okay, so what my net profit percentage is going to be is 220 divided by 320. So let me pull calculator, and if our calculations are correct, then this should give us the correct output. Yeah, so this gives us the net profit. Now, if I want to calculate the gross profit, it is going to be gross profit percentage. Gross profit is gross revenue minus cost price, and gross profit percentage is percentage of total revenue, which means it's going to be 300 divided by 320. Let me again check my calculator. So 300 divided by 320, 93.75. So we have verified that the calculations that we have done are actually correct. So this brings us to the end of this demonstration because we have covered the three questions. Have we calculate net profit and gross profit percentage per product? And what do we have? We have the product net profit percentage and gross profit percentage. Yeah, we have covered everything. So this brings us to the end of this demonstration. I hope you found some value from this video. If you did, please share it with your friends and please let me know in your comments. And like I say at the end of every video, thanks for watching and happy learning.